Shell companies. You've probably heard the term, often associated with scandal or financial intrigue. But what exactly are they, and why do they exist? Today, we're diving into the world of shell companies, exploring their definition, uses, and the legal considerations surrounding them. A shell company is a business entity that exists on paper but has no active operations, employees, or significant assets. It's essentially an empty corporate shell used primarily for financial transactions. These companies don't produce goods or provide services. Instead, they serve as vehicles for various financial activities. So why would anyone create a company that doesn't actually do anything? Well, shell companies have both legitimate and potentially nefarious uses. On the legal side, businesses might use them for tax planning, to hold assets, or to facilitate mergers and acquisitions. They can also be useful for startups looking to store funds or for companies expanding into new markets. High net worth individuals might use shell companies for estate planning or to manage investments more efficiently. However, the anonymity provided by shell companies also makes them attractive for less savory purposes. They can be used to hide assets, evade taxes, or even launder money. This dual nature is what makes shell companies a topic of intense scrutiny and debate. Setting up a shell company is surprisingly straightforward and often inexpensive. It typically involves registering the company in a jurisdiction with favorable tax laws and corporate secrecy. Popular locations include offshore tax havens like the Cayman Islands or Luxembourg, as well as certain U.S. states like Delaware, Nevada, and Wyoming. The process usually requires minimal personal information, sometimes only the identities of a registered agent and the beneficial owner. For even greater anonymity, some people use nominee directors or create layers of shell companies, each owned by another. But here's where things get complicated. While shell companies themselves are not illegal, their use can quickly venture into ethically and legally questionable territory. The line between tax avoidance, which is legal, and tax evasion, which is not, can be thin and blurry. Recent years have seen increased regulatory scrutiny of shell companies. The Panama Papers scandal in 2016 exposed how shell companies were being used by wealthy individuals and public figures to hide assets and avoid taxes. This led to calls for greater transparency and tighter regulations. As a result, many jurisdictions now require more disclosure about beneficial ownership. The costs of compliance have increased, making shell companies less attractive for those seeking complete anonymity. For businesses considering the use of shell companies, it's crucial to weigh the potential benefits against the risks. While they can offer tax advantages and facilitate certain financial strategies, they also come with the risk of regulatory scrutiny and potential reputational damage. In conclusion, shell companies are complex financial tools that serve various purposes in the business world. While they can be used legally for tax planning, asset protection, and business expansion, they also pose risks of misuse for tax evasion and other illicit activities. As regulations continue to evolve, businesses must carefully consider the legal and ethical implications before establishing or using shell companies. Always consult with legal and financial experts to ensure compliance with all relevant laws and regulations.